Let's talk this through by speaking with Senior Consultant on Climate Change Impact and Adaptation at Atkins, Justin Udie, who's joining me on the news. Thank you so much for joining us on the news this time. Talk to us about the extremely dangerous conditions that Hurricane Ian is unleashing in some part of the United States.
Thank you so much, Brian, for this opportunity again, and good afternoon. It is yet another one, and if you recall, we've been saying that these disasters will become more frequent and more intense, and I think Hurricane Ian is an example. The challenge we have is that, from understanding it, is the intensity and the strength of the storm is more than possibly what was predicted initially, or what they understood on ground, because having over a 240 miles per hour speed of wind is not what they would have wished to have, but that has become the reality of the event, which has led to the disastrous nature of Florida that we are seeing now: homes being destroyed, livelihoods being destroyed, power outages, and if you like, this is not going to be, it's not going to end now. It's something that will become more frequent. If it is not going to be intense storms, it could be other form of related, if you call them climate-related disasters that will happen in the nearest future and as we go into years coming. So it is this something that is unfortunate, but we need to now begin to plan and be well equipped to deal with this, because the damage already has been done to the world climate or global climate. So that's what I think is the situation of things at the moment.
Well, Hurricane Ian caused extensive and historic impact and damage in across Florida. I'm not sure Florida has ever seen a flood event like this. How do you think the government has been reacting to emergency situations so far?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, what we continue to tell people from data is that these changes are not going to be as usual, or things or other events that you have witnessed before in different places. So government have been trying. I think they have adequate information, though sometimes it's happened as if though there was less preparedness for it. That is something that is not related. We don't put it all on government. So planning to deal with these issues and getting people informed. But in this particular case, I think the information came a little bit late to me. I wouldn't want to say give people information 24 hours to the time. It takes a lot to evacuate, if access, creating access and getting valuables out of where they are, and getting people is really multifaceted. So that reaction need to be more now timely, if you ask me, going forward, and government need to have adequate data to accurately predict the intensity of these events before they happen.
Well, looking at the climate change and the global warming and etc., would you say some of these things are the cause for what we are seeing or what we're experiencing across the globe, especially in Florida, as we're discussing?
Yes, it's not unrelated to climate change, if you ask me, because, like I said before, the world is really struggling now to keep global temperature at 1.5. As we speak, we're around between 1 and 1.1 degree Celsius generally, right? So if we're having this intensity, what will happen if we're going to get to 1.5, or in other scenarios we're going to get up to 2? Nobody wants that to happen. Okay, so it is not unrelated. The frequency, the intensity are all indicators of what we know about what climate change could cause. So there are things that could be done. It's not going to be, if we know that it will happen, then we can plan on how to deal with this. So there need to be effective national coordination. That has to be on time. That is one thing to do. Need to also review their storm risk assessment and ways to which they understand the predictions and inform people right on time. Community engagement has to come in there. But I quite understand also that community engagement requires some level of technicalities to make that happen, and there is not too much or the communities can do, but local counties also need to respond to this, drafting some law enforcement into the equation. Because if you recall what happened in 2005, rather during the Hurricane Katrina, most people until the day before were saying Americans don't live in tents, so they couldn't leave their places to safe areas that were designed for them to live. So some people need that kind of psychological understanding of the intensity before, during, and after this event, so that they can.
Dr. Udie, sorry to jump in. Before I let you go very quickly, so what's the big take-home, the take-home message for the people who are affected by this storm, or those that are finalizing their preparations, or those that are already hunkering down?
Well, what they need to, it's unfortunate this has happened. What's coming handy is that people need to begin to insure their property, insure their houses and other valuable goods in attempts to get maybe part of what their values are. That is very, very important. People also need to begin to rethink the way we live our lives. This is broadly speaking and involves even government organizations, because it's all about emission, isn't it? So if we reduce how much anthropogenic emissions into the atmosphere, then we do hope that we'll begin to drive down these emissions and drive down a lot of these indicators. Then we'll have a safer world to live. It has to do with a lot of things I quite understand. So energy transition is a critical issue to look at it there. Rethinking renewable resources is there. Investing in new technologies that are available that could capture carbon and store it differently. These are things that will need to happen. But for evacuation and resettlement, governments have got plans to see how they safely resettle people that have been affected.
Oh, Senior Consultant on Climate Change Impact and Adaptation at Atkins, Dr. Justin Udie, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon.